This episode contains content that may be alarming to some listeners. Please be advised. Hi everyone, my name is Era Mangoma, but everyone calls me Rama, and this is Surviving Malawi, a mental health wellness podcast. Hi Kananji.
Hey Rama.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, thank you.
Great. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a bit.
Exactly.
But we're back.
Glad to be back. I'm sure our fans have been wondering, like, where have we been or what have we been up to?
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm so glad that we have not been abandoned yet. So thank you so much to our dear listeners for, believing in us still. A lot has been going on in the last couple of months. I changed jobs.
You got a job. Bam, 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 bam.
I got a new job.
Yeah. Congratulations.
So thank you so much. Thank you for that. There's just a lot of transitioning and settling in. So I finally feel settled and ready to get back to giving our listeners what we promised, which is this audible support for their mental health, and to just talk about the things that are affecting us Malawians on a daily basis. But what about you? I know you also have some updates. I wasn't the only one holding this up, guys.
Yeah, no, I've also been busy. I started a new business.
Hey,
I'll tell you more about it, but you'll understand why I'm not talking about it right now, later on in the show. But yeah, I started a new business, also a lot on my plate. But it's great to be back. It's great to be back with the listeners. We thank you for tuning into the older episodes. I noticed like the listenership is going up there.
Thank you so much, guys, for sharing and listening for some of you. So we're definitely gonna be bringing much more with the rest of the season.
Exactly. So I feel like you're going to tell us what today's topic is about.
Okay. As mentioned in our last episode, and if you guys haven't listened, please go back and listen to episode 1 and 2 of our podcast. But as mentioned last time, this episode we're going to be talking about romance.
Love.
Chikondi.
Chiwenzi.
Yeah.
Well, we need to release an album.
I think we do. After this, we'd have a recording session.
Totally.
So we're going to be talking about relationships, romantic relationships, and how they affect our mental health. And we'll just be bringing out some pointers from, as usual, research that we've done as to how you can have a healthy relationship and just certain indicators to help you get there.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to be telling you a story. Story time.
I'm kind of nervous.
I know, but this is by far a very positive story. It's
great.
a good story.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to take it back 9 years.
Okay.
9 years today, 2 students studying abroad, Lionel and Mary.
Okay.
These are African students. Mary is from West Africa and Lionel is East African.
Okay.
And so they had a very amusing boon start to their relationship,
What does that mean?
Okay, anyone who's read like a Mills and Boon novel knows that like there's always conflict at the beginning,
Okay,
like there's a beau and there's the lady who's like I don't know what you want. Don't stress me.
Don't stress me, stable boy.
Exactly. So, she found him a bit cocky.
Yeah.
Like she found him a bit cocky and a bit much. So she didn't really like him in the beginning.
The usual.
The usual. But I think it was also a facade on his part. But anyways, eventually they started to see each other more often and they started to fall for each other. Aww. They got into a relationship. And life was good. They even moved in together.
Oh, taboo.
Taboo.
African taboo.
And in quotes moved in together because their families didn't know about that. So being students studying abroad. Can't talk. So excited to tell you the story. But yeah, being students who are studying abroad, they did have to go home after graduation. And that was like deciding point for them, like what next, you know. And she was going back home to West Africa, he was going back to East Africa, and you know, at that stage they had been open with their parents about how serious this relationship was, and his mom was not vibing with it. She was like, nope. She's like, what? West African girl? I always thought you're gonna be with an East African girl, XYZ, you know, cultural differences, like this was just her expectations, you know. So that was already a big challenge for them to you know, just to think about and overcome, pretty much. But that being said, let's fast forward to today. Even though they had all these challenges and were anxious about the future, they did get married.
Oh, wow.
And they do have like beautiful children together now. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is by far my favorite story so far. We've had 3 stories on the show, and this one is winning by a long mile. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. I mean, they even have a YouTube page now, so anyone wants to check out where they're at. But just to give you a snippet of how they were feeling at that, you know, middle, that would have been a breaking point for them when they were saying goodbye to each other before they got together. Here is a clip from CBC Hello Goodbye series, where they just expressed how they felt about each other and how they felt about the future.
I don't want to go.
What are you going to miss about him when you go?
Eating, sleeping together, wake up together, going to work, going to school together, everything. I think everything. I don't know how our relationship is gonna be, like when we're gonna be away, because we never has been like apart.
You don't know whether your relationship will be able to handle this.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
Why are you not worried?
It's okay.
I never felt this way about someone. I have nowhere else to go. She's my home. She's the one I think about for everything I do. She's the reason why I want to be happy, so that she can be next to someone that is happy. So she can be happy too, you know?
Yeah, so that was Lionel and Mary.
All right, bro.
And of course the CBC interviewer. But yeah, I just found that story to be very amazing. But as you know, those are challenges, not just Lionel and Mary. Like those are challenges that we all face in our lives and in our relationships, whether it's at home, abroad, with someone from a similar background or someone from a completely different background. You know, point is, a relationship is a relationship, and it does require work. But yeah, maybe you can just tell our listeners what we've been up to leading up to now.
Exactly. So basically, 2 months ago, right after Valentine's Day, we said we should wait a little bit for people to get the post-Valentine's clarity, and then we'd ask them questions about romantic relationships and their experiences. So we put out a survey on Twitter, and we're so glad at the feedback. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, guys.
Many of you got back to us. And so what we're going to do this episode is essentially go through those survey questions that we asked you, and we'll share your feedback, but we're also going to touch into what the science says, basically, especially like around mental health, romantic relationships, and how those things work together.
Yeah. Alrighty then. So let's get started.
All right. So here's a little background from the survey. The largest age group were the 26 to 30-year-olds. Who were 40% of our respondents. And also, the people who identified as women were also our highest respondents, with 65%.
Okay.
Those also who identified themselves as heterosexuals also comprised 87%
Okay.
of our survey.
Responses, yeah.
Yeah, and when asked about their relationship status,
Yeah.
45% of our respondents said they were just dating. 27% said they were single. 14% said they were married, and another 14% said they were cohabiting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, I think that gives us a little idea
about
of
demographic.
who was answering. Some of you, if you felt like you weren't represented, make sure on the next poll you get involved.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of polls coming up, so please do keep sharing your answers and your experiences. It really does help us shape our content.
Exactly. So the first question we addressed on the survey was,
okay, so which of the following would you say is the most essential element to a healthy relationship? So we had the options of communication, trust, compromise, and intimacy. And out of the 4 options, the highest was communication at 59%, followed by trust at 36%, followed by intimacy at 5%, and compromise got 0%.
Wow, guys. I don't really want to compromise at all.
Standing your ground,
but yeah, I mean, that is interesting. What is the most important? I will admit, I also did the survey myself.
So did
and I had like a little bit of a hard time. Like, oh my gosh, what's the most important one? But let's look at what the science says. So what does the science say are the most essential components of a romantic relationship?
Okay, so there's a lot of research that has been done, but I'm going to be referring to psychologist Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love, which describes types of love based on 3 different scales, which are intimacy, passion, and commitment. So it is important to recognize that a relationship based on a single element is less likely to survive than one that is based on 2 or more.
Okay, so it's commitment, passion, and intimacy. Okay, those 3. Okay, so obviously you need everything to be working together.
Yeah, at least 2 or more.
To be working together for something to work, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm looking at our survey and I'm looking at these 3 criteria. Are we wrong? Because I'm not seeing them on our survey. So does that mean we're wrong in our survey, or?
No, not at all. Okay, so in our survey we had trust, compromise, communication, and intimacy. And all those options do fall into the 3 scales of love. So you'll find that, for example, maybe trust and compromise will fall under commitment, and communication will fall under commitment as well, and also intimacy, because of different ways. Yeah. Okay. So, but since our lovely audience resonates the most with communication, we're just going to be sharing a little more information on what that's all about.
Yeah, okay. Let me get my lab coat on and share some facts. So there's some findings from Priscilla Maria De Netto. I hope I pronounced that right. And she released a study in 2021. And she said, basically outlining that there are 2 types of communication in a romantic relationship. Accommodation communication and capitalization communication.
Okay.
So accommodation communication is all about how you communicate in times of conflict. And her findings show that partners who are more attuned to their partner in times of conflict and how they communicate will have more positive outcomes in a positive relationship. So basically knowing how to talk to your person when there's something you disagree on, and not just like pushing buttons or like gaslighting.
Yeah. So in times of conflict, so it's not a situation where you start bringing up like random
like random stuff. Like if you know your partner like first of all doesn't like shouting, then don't shout. Be calm.
No,
or if you
I want to talk about this at this volume.
No Nollywood thing.
Oh my god! Wow. We also have our own version, Mollywood. We got a lot of
Exactly.
drama here in Malawi, but anyways.
Exactly. So that's accommodation, being attuned with your partner.
Yeah.
And then capitalization, communication, is when you're communicating in positive times. So when, let's say, your partner has a win, like when you came and said you got a new job, like how your partner responds to that is also a part of communication.
Yeah.
And her research again showed that a positive response to your partner's positive news increases their well-being and also their emotional well-being. So not only physically but also emotionally, your partner benefits when you're positive about their news. So don't put your partner down, basically.
Okay. So I mean, as in, like, I'm just now thinking, these can kind of be used negatively, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking if someone is a bit intimidated by their partner, like on capitalization, they may tease their partner, like in times of, instead of like, accommodating and getting like attuned with them.
Yeah. And especially if we're keeping it 100, like in Malawi, we've spoken about before that.
Yeah.
No, the patriarchy is still there. So like
the patriarchy.
So like it's very hard. Like, I hear stories.
Yeah.
And see situations where it's been very hard for men to congratulate women for their female partners on doing wins or maybe getting a job or something like that. You hear about cases where somebody is being abusive to their wife because they got a job or just being condescending. But I think
I've also seen that the other way around as well, where it's like the moment, I've seen relationships where the lady has the upper hand and the moment the guy starts to succeed and she's now feeling like,
I don't have the control.
You made it
exactly
to this stage because of me. Like there's a little kind of mind game and manipulation that kind of comes into play with like his ego and self-esteem, like kind of reminding him that like you started with nothing when we started. So
I think basically what we're saying here is like,
be cautious.
Be cautious. Know yourself.
Yeah.
And see how you're communicating with your partner.
Yeah.
And how you can do better.
Yeah. Be positively intentional about how you communicate with your partner. And communication also goes beyond like verbal communication.
Yes, exactly.
It's like your body language, your gestures.
Exactly. Stuff you do.
Exactly.
Your actions.
Because sometimes you'll be like, I'm so happy for you.
Exactly.
And then like you're like completely acting some type of like, okay.
Exactly. So I feel like that takes care of that relationship essentials.
Yeah, for sure.
We said that the triangular theory is what's important, but also in communication, you need to be attuned to your partner and also be positive when celebrating their wins.
Awesome. So for our other answers, you guys are not wrong. As mentioned, it takes more than one element to make a relationship work. So trust, compromise, and intimacy are just as important. It's just about how you work around it in your special relationships.
Exactly. And now, our next question.
Alrighty. So our next question was, in your opinion, do you think you can be friends with your ex while in a committed relationship?
Yeah, what did the people have to say?
The people said no. So for 48%, which is the highest answer, was no. And then that was followed by a tie between yes and it depends, which both got 26% of the votes.
Okay. All right. That's great. Okay. I'm not surprised at the no, but I'm actually surprised that, the yes and the it depends got as high as they did. I think that shows that we're more open-minded as Malawians. Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations, guys. Exactly. But so I think before we get into talking about it, let's look at what the research has said to this question about talking to your ex in a committed relationship. So basically, this Psychology Today article says that the answer isn't as simple as a yes or no. You should think about your motives for wanting to maintain contact. If you're using an ex as a backup, contact with your ex is likely to undermine your current relationship.
Okay.
Other research has shown that reminders of your ex can keep you attached to that person and make it more difficult to get over them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess it's not like we're saying, not just as simple as a yes or no.
Yeah.
Especially with our question, we're saying that, if you're somebody in a committed relationship, like life happens.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a mature adult, maybe you may still need to have contact with people. So you must
definitely.
always check.
I mean, it's very subjective, right? And like you're saying, the motive is extremely important in terms of you as a person. If you're being 100% honest with yourself, why are you still talking to your ex?
Exactly.
And what also, like, what pressure or what kind of energy does that relationship also bring to your committed relationship?
Exactly.
Like the article says, if you are using an ex as a backup, you're always going to have one foot in and one foot out. So it's going to be a situation like, my relationship didn't work, what? And it's like, but were you 100% committed?
Exactly. Like, did you have to get those movies from them, or could you have asked somebody else for my bootlegs?
Everybody got Netflix right now. So,
so I think, I think, at the beginning, I was like straight up, no. But I think also looking over the research, and also, we're all adults now.
Yeah.
And, you have to look at instances and, like we were saying, trusting. Yeah. Knowing and trusting your partner.
Exactly. And also, like, we talked about communication. Yeah. So what are you both comfortable with? And I think the transparency of things helps a lot. Yeah. If you're having a secret friendship with your ex, then those are already red flags, exactly. I would say. Yeah. But if it's something that is open and honest in your like current committed relationship, then there's room for more acceptance around, I guess, those parameters. But for me, I responded with it depends. And that was because I was really racking my brain. Because my sister-in-law, like sister-in-law-ish, is like an ex of like my significant other. So that's why I was kind of like, and like we're really close. Like I'm super close with her. But that's the thing. The motive has been pure. We're really all amicable and support each other. But there've been instances where I 100% know that somebody has foul intentions. Yeah. And I've shut that down. Exactly. Like, and as a Malawian, let me bring this in. It's always hard for us to tell people to like just mind their own business or to leave you to explore what you want to explore with the peace of mind that you're asking of them. I've been made to feel bad for choosing my relationship from past, like, exes who are claiming to want to be my friend, but I'm like, but what do you want?
Exactly. Don't talk anymore.
Ever since you go with him, like, you don't talk to, I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about though.
Exactly. But I guess once again, it's those things we're talking about. What is the motive? I think if somebody was truly happy for you, they'll support make you feel guilty. Yeah. But I think like just to round it up before we move on to our next one. Yeah. That same article basically said this to like close things up. A greater longing for an ex is associated with decreases in satisfaction with your current partner over time. Okay. All right. And decreases in satisfaction over time are associated with increases in longing for your ex. So basically,
they're just feeding into each other.
If you're unhappy in your relationship, you're more likely to look back and see the grass is being greener. Yeah. And basically, if you're thinking the grass is greener on the other side, it's going to ruin what you currently have. Yeah. So I think really just be careful and be honest.
Yeah, be honest with yourself, guys. Yeah. And it also goes back to the pillars. Commitment.
Exactly.
Communication.
Yeah, exactly. Like all these things.
Yeah, so they all play a very important role in how you guys live with each other moving forward. Exactly. All right, so
moving on to the next one.
All
right, let's take a break for our favorite part of the show.
Music for the mind.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been digging through Malawian music all this time, and I think we found something special.
Yeah.
You want to introduce it to us?
Yeah, so this song that we're gonna play for you shortly, a snippet of anyway, is called Honey, and it's by George Kalukusha. It's a sweet song, you know, like honey. Sorry, that was dry. But like it's a sweet romantic song, and I've enjoyed it. Everyone I know enjoys it, so I hope you guys enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
I found a name, the rose of the tongue, sweeter than honey. Oh, honey, they should have told you not to fall in love with one that dreams while he's awake. 'Cause he ain't done too much living. Well, he don't know what's truly to come. But if there's one thing I should do before I die, I will hold you in my arms. Well, I don't know much about the angels or the men that fall for them, but I know enough of fire and ice.
All right, so that was Honey by George Kalukusha.
Oh, that was a beautiful song. I
Right?
enjoyed it. Oh, but also I know a little fun fact. Rama was in the video for this song. So
gosh.
please make sure you go to YouTube, check it out. You'll see her in there. She does a beautiful performance.
Oh wow, thank you.
Oscar Weber.
But yeah, so if you are an artist and interested in submitting your music for this segment, please do reach out to us at survivingmalawi@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook at Surviving Malawi page, or on our Twitter page at Surviving Malawi.
Yeah, hit us up in the DMs, send us your links, and we'll be more than glad to play your music.
Yeah. All right, so back to the questions. Okay, so in our next question, we asked, why did your last relationship end? Yeah, Milando.
All right, so what was the feedback from you?
Okay, so out of the options that we presented, the highest was inflexible differences, which came in at 45% of the votes, followed by cheating or infidelity, which was at 32% of the votes, and then followed by distance, which was at 18%. Lastly, mutual separation, which was at 5%.
Okay, so the highest one was inflexible differences.
Yep.
Is that we stubborn people in Malawi just don't want to change?
I mean, you saw in the other question, there was no compromise. So,
All right, so that's what the listeners are saying. I would also, I think myself will probably also say most of the time it's been inflexible differences.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but what does the research say?
Okay, so the research shows that relationships usually end because of a crisis. And a crisis can take different forms. So a crisis can be some kind of change, or like in our votes, distance, and then also it could be breaking the rules.
Okay, so I understand change. So it's like something changing in your relationship. Let's say you get a child, or lose a job, get a job, you know, those things. Okay, distance, we also understand.
Yeah.
With our story of Lionel and Mary, how distance can play a part. But what do you mean by breaking the rules?
So breaking the rules pretty much is that, like, what are the rules of your relationship? What's most important to you guys, right? But the generic ones that I think most people go by are like cheating or infidelity, like breaking the rule of trust, for example. So as mentioned in the votes as well. And then like privacy, like, you know, breaching like or breaking like confidentiality between you and your partner. You know, no one wants your business out there. And I mean, come on, don't just be like every time something happens you won't believe. But you know, it's like learning to keep your privacy as is, and whatever you're comfortable as a couple. And then emotional support as well could be a broken rule, where if you remember in the beginning when we're talking about the types of communication and we're talking about like adaptation and capitalization. So under capitalization, breaking the rule or under emotional support would be like demeaning your partner instead of supporting them and attuning to their that tone and the sound or the communication at the time when they're going through a hard phase.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So, basically, crises are gonna happen. Like, it's life. It's part of life.
It's part of life.
Wait, do we even have do we have a license for that? Don't come for us.
Hyping Malawian music. With life.
With life,
there's ups and downs.
We have crises. So, is it just a crisis is going to happen, relationships are going to end, or is there something you can do about it?
There is always something you can do about it. Of course, sometimes the moments where you just can't go back. For example, maybe like in cheating on infidelity, maybe the trust is broken beyond repair. So it's hard to come back from that. But it's always up to the couple as well. How committed are you to making it work? As you remember in the triangular theory of love, commitment was one of like this, you know, the main sections of love, really. And if you're committed as a couple to making it work, the challenges that you face, you will find resources or options or alternatives to help you work through them. So whether that looks like therapy for you guys, or working it out between you two on your own, or some kind of gestures. You know, everyone has their own love language, and relationships have their own communication and love languages. But it boils down to commitment and adaptability, because things do change. Things are always going to change. You're going to change. You're going to grow in your relationship. And if you're growing in different directions, that's not going to be great for your relationship. But if you're growing with one like kind of mind as to where you guys are going, then whatever changes individually will adapt to what the relationship needs.
Okay. Cool. Nice. Let's go to the next one.
Yes. Okay. So we are getting a little more intimate now. So our next question was, how often do you think a healthy couple should engage in sex?
Ooh.
Why?
It's a taboo.
Oh my gosh, So results showed that 54%, which was the highest of our respondents, chose weekly, that weekly was a healthy amount. Followed by it depends, which came in at 29% of the votes. Followed by daily, which came in at 17% of the votes. And then lastly, monthly, which was at 0% of the votes. So it's all or nothing.
Nothing. I see that. Okay, so all right. This is sort of making sense. I'm really surprised about the 17% who said daily. Like at least like Danu fans. If you know, you know.
Wow.
Exactly. But so personally, when I answered, I also said weekly. Is that correct? Is that, I don't know.
Yes.
There is a correct answer.
Yes, there is a correct answer, because research actually shows that majority of you guys are correct. Research shows that weekly is a healthy amount, the right threshold amount rather, to be sexually satisfied in your relationship. So funny thing is, in the research that they did with these couples, they noticed that couples that responded to having sex more than once a week were sexually satisfied, but having it more than once a week did not increase the satisfaction. Like just meeting the threshold of once a week.
So anything past that is just
just
you
extra.
guys are just having being fat now.
It's just
doing my
extra,
exercise.
exactly,
Okay.
extra to what is already like your satisfied level.
All right.
But in reverse, couples that had sex less than once a week will 100% like not sexually satisfied. So you just need you need to hit that 1 week.
1 week.
Once
So
a week
basically,
mark.
we're looking at less than once a week. We're going back to the triangle, and this is like a lack of intimacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Like, people end up getting maybe sexually frustrated or not feeling like as attractive to their partners. Like,
Yeah.
all these different things start to
Yeah.
come out. But keeping engaged and paying attention to your intimacy, and intimacy is also not just sex. The little PDA gestures or
Yeah.
whatever, kisses or whatever the
Smooch.
case, whatever intimacy and affection looks like for you as a
Yeah.
couple,
Okay.
and then you just add on the
Yeah.
threshold of
Okay.
once a week to get down. But
But
that being said, those are having it daily. You guys are not in the wrong. Do whatever
Do
you
what
gotta
you gotta
do.
do.
Whatever.
Exactly. Oh
Your
no.
vibe.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, no, congrats. Rama was very shy to talk about sex
What?
when we were putting this together. So I'm so proud of you
Oh
for
my gosh.
getting over that threshold.
I know. Sorry, Mom. my parents listen to this podcast.
Alright.
But yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool,
So,
so
we are
on to the
actually
next one.
heading to our last question.
Survey question, I believe.
Our last survey question.
Yes, and that is.
So that is, how much do you value having a romantic relationship? What was that?
I don't know. I went Pepe Le Pew.
Vibing with it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what did our dear respondents say?
Okay, so they said very much was the highest at 59% of the votes, and then moderately came in second at 36% of the votes, and then lastly, I'm comfortable alone at 5% of the votes.
Okay, actually, I'm surprised. Like 59, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Like, especially
No
with the
wonder you
community.
won. We love love.
You wouldn't guess it from like looking at Twitter sometimes. Sometimes I think Malawi has given up on love, but it's heartening to see that there's still believers out there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, also take a break from Twitter.
Oh yeah.
If you
That is
can.
not a true reflection of the nation.
There's so much love in Malawi
Exactly.
to give and to embrace. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So, I guess let's have a look at
let's hear
what some
the
of the
science
research
is.
has said on that. So,
Yes.
basically, what the research is saying is that it's not important that you have a relationship, but what it says, and I quote, the type of relationship matters. Evidence suggests that more established, committed relationships have greater benefit than less committed ones. It goes on to say that the association between relationships and mental health is clearly bidirectional.
Okay.
However, stronger effects are observed when mental health is the outcome and relationships are the predictor. Basically saying that there's more of a causal flow from your relationship to your mental health. So if you have a good relationship, you have good mental health.
Good mental health.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like if your
Exactly.
relationship is quite poor, then your mental health will also suffer.
Will suffer. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty.
Yeah, but then I remember the research also touched on like for those who chose being alone or moderately, that being in a relationship doesn't necessarily mean that you will be happier. Some research has shown that people who are in bad relationships tend to be less happier than people who are single and content with being on their own.
Yeah.
So going back to that causal relationship, that it's not the relationship that is deciding.
Exactly.
That being in a relationship is not deciding that you're gonna be happy, but the type of relationship that you engage in.
Exactly. So don't give it to your aunties' pressures at weddings. With, Mugwadi. Tell them that for your own mental health, it's best you find the right type of relationship for
Be
yourself.
intentional about it.
Exactly.
All right, so
Okay.
that wraps up our survey questions.
We did it.
I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, we can just go through it. I guess a quick run through,
Yeah.
a summary of what we just talked about.
Exactly.
And how, in the beginning we started with the triangular theory of love, which focused on, passion, intimacy, and commitment.
Yeah, and I think pretty much with our whole survey and the feedback we were getting, and
we're on the right
even
track.
the research, right? I think it's all showing that it all comes back to these things, right? To the triangle. So so I think if you're passionate,
if you make sure that the passion stays alive,
exactly,
in your relationship.
If you're committed,
exactly,
fighting through the crisis.
One. Yeah, life's gonna life. You just have to go through the highs and lows.
Exactly, and if you're intimate,
you're gonna make sure that do not deprive yourselves. No.
But I feel like that's what you started us off on was pretty clear about what are the things that go into making a
relationship,
a romantic relationship work. But I know that you have some more stuff for us.
Yes, I
before
do.
we close things off officially.
Exactly. So we didn't get to touch on everything. But I came across an article that had some really cool facts, psychological facts about how to kind of work on your relationship and keep things moving.
Cool. Hit me with it.
All right. So fact number one of the first facts is beyond physical attraction, altruism is something that people also find very attractive. So the kind of a person you are, the more attractive you'll be to someone beyond the physical aspect. So be nice to people, y'all.
Yeah.
Like the world could use more kindness, and you could find a partner.
Love threads.
Okay, so the next one, fact number 2, love is really on the brain.
On the brain.
So when Rihanna said it, she wasn't lying.
Yeah, what up, Rizza?
So the studies that this was based on studies that were done on newlyweds, and they recorded that three brain chemicals were recorded in their emotions and the activities. So those are oxytocin, dopamine, and vasopressin, which are involved in bonding and love. Yeah, so you guys are busy excreting sounds so wrong. producing those
hormones.
Producing those hormones when you're staring
at each other.
Exactly, or starry-eyed and whatnot. Okay, fact number 3. Birds of a feather don't always flock together.
Okay.
So we've always heard this. Opposites do attract. Yes. So this is just to attest to that. And I mean, not that it's not gonna work out if you're alike as a couple, but there's usually a higher success rate when you challenge each other. So you find that introverts who date extroverts might have a higher chance of the relationship lasting because they challenge each other to be more introverted or extroverted, not in an imposing way, but it's just opening each other up to different
things. So
spaces.
also with our story with Lionel and Mary, it was the same thing where the mom thought their cultures were too different to work, but ended up proving them wrong. Okay, I get that.
So East and West linked up, and it turned out to be like the best thing for them. So
nice.
That was that, and then we're moving on. Fact number 4, right? I think so. We often end up marrying our parents. I know. When I used to hear this, I'd be like, that's weird. But I get it now that I'm in a committed relationship, happy. I do see aspects of my partner that are remind me of my parents and all the warm fuzzy feelings that I got growing up. So
I guess because it's the people who
first loved
you, so it's the template.
Exactly.
But I guess that can also
work in the negative sense that if you had a really negative or tough upbringing, or the people who raised you or the environment you grew up in brings negative emotions or some kind of trauma, then stay away from that. Move away from that space, because that's only going to be detrimental to your mental health and your healing. So that was fact number 5, right?
Yes,
so
I think so.
we're going to number 6 now. Empathy and relationship formation. So this one is really just that empathize with your partner, like understand their feelings and experiences, and once you're able to do that, it's easier to relate to them and how they react to situations or how they could potentially like feel in certain spaces. So yeah, literally just being that emotional support for each other in your relationship. Yeah, so now fact number 6 is that long-term love is possible.
Is it now?
Yeah, people are always like, the honeymoon phase is over. The honeymoon phase does not need to be over, ever.
Tell us, Dr. Love.
I don't know. I was doing honeymoon phase. It was like almost 4 years. So, but like this is actual research that was done on couples that have been together for longer than 10 years about if long-term love is possible, and 40% of them answered 100% yes. And they admitted and confirmed that they're still intensely in love with each other. And when asked what secrets they use to keep the passion going, this is what they had to say: that positive thoughts about one another is very important in a relationship. Thinking about one significant other when they're apart was something that really helped. Sexual intimacy between the two of them was also great. Affectionate behavior towards each other. So, empathy, compassion, just being kind and loving and experiencing new activities together. So, yeah, that's also fun. Having general happiness in life. So, that one really also touches on self. Like,
being mentally.
Exactly. If you're like content and mentally in a good space, you're also in the best position to create a positive relationship. Otherwise, you might start like, unnecessarily like putting the pressure on your partner to make you happy when you know what that is more of an innate thing. Yeah. So we're going to our last fact. Which is using the science in your daily life. So we've talked about like the research, we've talked about some facts here. Now the next steps are, how do you implement them into your lives and your relationships? So we have this theory, this notion in psychology called the G.I. Joe fallacy, which pretty much refers to people thinking that knowing is half the journey when it's only the beginning of the journey. You can know all the information in the world, but how you apply it to your life is what's going to make a difference. So using what we've said in this podcast would definitely give you like a starting point and resources to improving your relationships and your mental health in those relationships. But for couples that may be experiencing challenges in like figuring it out on their own, we always 100% recommend like therapy. Go for couples therapy. Also go for individual therapy. Understanding yourself and understanding your relationship is going to help you guys move forward and build something that is beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for those fun facts.
You are very welcome.
Yeah, I think this now takes us to the end of the podcast.
It takes us to the end. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for listening in. We highly appreciate it.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, indeed. So, what are we gonna get into on the next episode?
So, our next episode, we're gonna be talking about bereavement and just how to deal with grief and loss.
Coping with that.
And coping with that.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be important, especially after us having Cyclone Freddy and all the effects of that. I think there's so many people who are going to want to hear about how to cope with loss and losing.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Cool.
Dito. Yeah. That's what's coming up. And we will be releasing it soon. We're not going to go AWOL on you guys.
Exactly. But, okay, until then, I think something important about this month. What month is it?
This month of May. So this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's a time for us to raise awareness of those living with mental or behavioral issues and to help reduce the stigma that so many people experience.
So locally, where can people find help?
Okay, so Kamuzu Central Hospital recently opened a response unit, a mental health response unit. The services are pro bono, they're free, so do feel free to stop by there if you're in urgent need of services. Of course, we do have private practitioners, but in case your wallet is not in the best place, you can always go to our government facilities at least. But even that being said, if you are in a position where you're contemplating suicide or you feel that you may be a harm to yourself, please do talk to somebody. We do have a hotline, a suicide hotline that you can call toll free, and you can reach a health professional at 54747.
Okay.
And if you have attempted suicide and are in urgent need for assistance or emergency contacts to come and attend to you, please call 118 and you'll be assisted. Again, these are toll-free numbers, so please use the resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So you remember at the beginning
Yes.
of the episode, I told you I started a business, but couldn't tell you what it was.
Yes.
Well, this is the spot, because if I wanted to publicize my business, this is the new slot that we're offering.
Okay.
So, Surviving Malawi is a mental health awareness podcast that not only has listenership in Malawi, but all over the world. Our audience are a diverse group of people with various needs and wants, and that audience is growing every single day. Yeah. So why not take advantage and get your message out to the world by buying ad space and sponsoring the podcast? In supporting us, you will help us continue making this podcast and helping people in Malawi and around the world dealing with mental health issues through content and events. So drop us an email and let us help you get your message about a product, a service, or a project out to the world.
Yeah.
Send your messages to survivingmalawi@gmail.com. Wow, not bad. Hey, not bad at all. Not bad.
Yeah, so please do show your support. If you want to
Yes.
slide, reach out to us to sponsor an episode.
Exactly.
We're 100% open. There's some things coming up in the pipelines. Even though we were busy with our own things, there are also some podcast related tasks coming up. Our YouTube page is gonna be a little more active as well, and we'll be tapping into some shorts to just share a little more about mental health conditions that we can't always talk about in our episodes, and the like. So do keep tuning in, and you can follow us on our pages. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Surviving Malawi, and you can find us on Facebook at Surviving Malawi Facebook page. And you can also find us on YouTube, which is one of the streaming platforms at Surviving Malawi. So thank you so much, guys, for listening in.
See ya on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Bam, bam, bam. Peace.
Peace.